This is Revelations chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. I want to start off by saying, all praise Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakodash. I want to make sure I give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to all the Akim out there, pushing this truth. All right. This lesson is going over, what's happening in Australia. They're transporting the original Aborigine people from their communities to quarantine camps. And this is a prelude of things to come to America and all the other countries around the world, but ultimately America. And it's going to eventually be concentrated or geared more towards you Jakes. And when I say Jakes, I'm talking to you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which makes up the 12 tribes of Israel. We're also scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but we're all here. All 12 tribes are here in Babylon the Great, which is America. And these things are coming, whether you want to call them quarantine camps, concentration camps, internment camps, jails, or prisons. It's all the same thing, and it's happening. And, the video I'm going to show and the article I'm going to read it should further reveal, even more so than what has already been revealed of this man. And the man I'm talking about is Esau Edom, the devil. The so-called white man that's running the world with his policies, his legislation, his laws, his mandates, his military, his whole economic, political, military structure. So let's read this verse again, and then we're going to watch a video. Then we're going to read the 2 articles, and then we're going to get into some more scriptures. So again, this is Revelations chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. And again, prison, quarantine camp, internment camp, concentration camp, holding facility, they're all the same. And the devil is talking about the so-called white man. There is a spiritual demon, Satan, but the physical counterpart that acts out the chaos, the murders, the robbing, the accusing, and pushes out, enchantments and sorceries and locks, pretty much oppresses the people. It's the so-called white man. He's the one that's throwing people in these holding facilities. He's the one that's going to be throwing people into prison. Continuing with verse 10, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. And that 10 days is just a period of time. It's not a specific 10 days. It could be 10 days. It could be 1 month, 3 months. It could be 2 days. But it's to try you, and that try you is twofold. It means to try you literally in the court system, because you will be tried, but also to try you, to try your faith, to see what manner of man you are, because we're all going to be tried in some manner. But those who are actually specifically put into these concentration camps, you're going to be tried that way, to see if you're going to fold, or you're going to bow down to Baal. Are you going to bow down to Babylon the Great? Or are you going to bow down to Esau, the so-called white man, and take his inoculation, and ultimately the chip, Revelations 13, 16, and 17. That's the ultimate goal. That's when this thing is really going to kick off, when they start making that the mandate. But you're going to be tried to see what type of manner of man you are. You got to have faith in these scriptures. Got to have faith in the Most High. And those who haven't been, hearkening to the word being preached by the men of the Lord, on the highways and byways, and doing these lessons, you're not going to have any faith, and you're not going to have any favor from the Most High, But that's what this is talking about. And it says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. And we're all looking for that crown of life. We're looking for the inheritance of the kingdom. We're looking to be the next rulers, and the following age after this age has been destroyed, been taken down, and we're looking to have those crowns. And the scriptures tell you, they love not their life unto the death. And the scriptures also say those who save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life will save it. Being, you have to follow, you got to have faith and hold on to the faith of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai and his word unto death. And the people who try to save their life but lose it, those are the people who are going to fall to the snares or fall to the pressure that's going to come in the form of going to prison. A lot of people are not, ready for that. They don't want to be separated from their families. They don't want to have the weight of uncertainty of how long they're going to be in the prison in those conditions. They don't want to deal with that, not knowing that if you fold, you're going to end up losing your life, either in a destruction or through Jacob's trouble. But one way or another, you're going to lose it, because you're trying to save it. You're thinking this man is for your good. You're putting more fear in him and more fear in this system than the fear of the Most High, and that fear leads to life, because the scriptures tell you those who die, because some of us are going to be martyred, and that's to glorify the Most High. But the Most High is going to put the spirit on those men or women, to endure that. That's the faith you got to have, and those who are who are dead or who are martyred for Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, they're going to rise first into those chariots and receive those new bodies. We always say that. So verse 11, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. And that second death is talking about the nuclear destruction, along with the chariots shooting off those lasers on Babylon the Great, the land of Israel, and any other place that the Most High wants to be utterly destroyed. Because the destruction is going to be worldwide, but the whole world itself is not going to be destroyed. All right, so not to talk too much, let's watch the video next. Then we're going to read some articles and get into some more scriptures.
As you know, last night we took an urgent action to escalate our response in these communities, immediately implementing a hard lockdown. That means residents of Binjari and Rockhole no longer have the 5 reasons to leave their home. They can only leave for medical treatment in an emergency or if required by law. Yes, these are strong measures, but the threat to lives is extreme. An expanded rapid assessment team was deployed to Binjari and Rockhole last night to help with the hard lockdown, begin the contact tracing work and provide as much support as possible to residents. This includes providing food and other essential items to residents. The effort undertaken by our teams last night and the cooperation of Binjari and Rockhole communities was nothing short of phenomenal. I want to especially mention the Worley staff member Peter and his team who facilitated this last night. They were exceptional. Thank you. It's highly likely that more residents will be transferred to Howard Springs today, either as positive cases or close contacts. We've already identified 38 close contacts in Binjari, and that number will go up. Those 38 are being transferred now. I contacted the Prime Minister last night. We are grateful for the support of about 20 ADF personnel as well as Army trucks to assist with the transfer of positive cases and close contacts and to support the communities. We are doing an assessment today of what extra resources we might need from the feds, and the Prime Minister is ready to help further. I thank him and the Australian Government for that. Exposure sites will be updated on the website as the contact tracing continues today. We'll also keep testing and doing vaccinations in Binjari and Rockhole.
Alright, that's pretty much the video. I do want to highlight the things he said in this video. I'm going to wait till we get to the article, because the article is going to explain what he said and pretty much reiterate what he just said, so we can really get a fuller concept of what's going on. But I do want to highlight this ending. It's not significant, but then again it is, because this is part of that, that witchcraft, that sorcery that Esau Edom likes to put out. They put this clip at the end to portray some image of or some idea that this is such a big emergency and we're really, really doing whatever we can to try to help the people. And we got these healthcare workers that, they're busting their butts to, for this whole operation. And what are they really doing, man? This clip doesn't have to be in there, but they do this in a lot of news clippings. They'll show you a little clip of something that's really nothing. And it's not a big deal, but it is. And just look, you got 5 healthcare workers in masks and gloves, aprons, pushing carts and putting down little paper bags on verandas or porches to make it seem like they're really doing something, but they're not really doing shit. It's just to add to the.
We're doing an assessment today of what extra resources we might need from the feds, and the Prime Minister is ready to help further. I thank him and the Australian government for that. Exposure sites will be updated on the website as the contact tracing continues today. We'll also keep testing and doing vaccinations in Binjari and Rockall.
I mean, what are they doing? Ow. Yeah, let's just get 5 of y'all to put some stuff down and just make it seem like y'all really busy. Look at them hustling, and then just kind of go out of screen. Is it that big of a deal? No. Then again, it is. And what really brought my the reason I brought this out, because you see that in a lot of clippings. I watched another news clipping a few days ago, maybe last week. I can't remember what it was about. Well, it was about the thing that's going on now, and I got to be careful about my words because they might take this video down. And basically, they was making it seem like the ambulances were smashed. And ambulances were just like rushing back and forward, just getting these C patients. And what they did at the end, they showed a clip of a ambulance. One was parked into the entrance of a hospital, and then they showed another one driving down the road slowly. Like what? And it's just more imagery that really means nothing. They're just pushing the agenda. And I've been picking up on picking up on how they do that, and it's not just America. The one I'm talking about right now was in America, and this is obviously in Australia. It's another YouTube channel I watch called China Uncensored. They also have a channel. It's the same guy. He does America Uncensored, and they talk about a lot of stuff that that's not really discussed in the media, the mainstream media. And he was pointing out the same things with China. They do these propaganda campaigns to show like the police helping the people, and you can clearly see that it's staged. They'll have people laying down on a sidewalk like they're hurt or tired or exhausted. Then they'll show the police coming in helping them out. Or there was an article not too long ago, may have been last month. I think somebody called it out. You had all these so-called patients seeking treatment, and they were in the middle of a hospital and they were asleep because they were so tired. They were so tired and so sick. They all on the ground asleep. All that shit is bullshit and propaganda. That's the reason why I wanted to highlight this little ending right here. It's all bullshit. It's all propaganda. And really they getting sloppy with this stuff, but not to drag it out too much. But so let's go to the article. Salakia. And again, the article is going to pretty much reiterate the things that he said in the little video clip. All right, so this article is from The Paradise, which is a Nigerian news organization. They report on international news as well as their own local news. The interesting thing about that, though, is when you type in The Paradise and you click on their link, you can't go to their page. You can they make posts on Facebook, they make posts on LinkedIn and Instagram, and whatever specific article they post to that site, to that platform, you're able to read it on that platform. But if you want to click on that link to go to the original source or find out more information on it, it won't allow you to go to it. Point being is there's a lot of things happening in the world that other groups around the world, other news organizations around the world are reporting on, but you'll never hear about it. You know, this they're trying to suppress so much information, but that's the spirit of the Most High. He's allowing this information to get out. You know, it's out there. The information is getting out there some way or another. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point. So this is from the Paradise. The article is called "Australia Starts Using Its Quarantine Camps Over Suspected COVID in Sewage." Now let that title sink in. They have a picture right here, pretty much saying the same thing. Australia begins sending Aboriginal people to quarantine camps. And on one side, it says CV here. They're questioning it, and they're saying 40-degree heat. This location that's in this square is the supposed CV in the sewage, and this is the small community of Benjari. On the other side, you got the quarantine camp, which is in Howard Springs, 200 miles away from this location. And the reason they have this picture here is to show you, you know, that this place is isolated. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. And they've taken these people, these Aborigine people, indigenous people of the land of Australia, to some quarantine camp 200 miles away. Now, they're going to highlight that in the article, but I wanted to, you know, mention why they have this here now. Also, that 40-degree heat. Australia, they use Celsius as most of the countries, you know, in the East. And 40 degrees Celsius translates to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, that's what we use. And the reason they're highlighting that right here is because supposedly that 40-degree heat, you know, high temperatures are supposed to combat the invisible enemy. And again, I just have to be careful with the words. And the heat has been a big deal there. It's not like they're just pointing out that this one day the temperature was 40 degrees. Separate from, you know, what's going on, they've also been battling high temperatures. So that's why they're putting that there. Like CV here, 40-degree heat, arrow to this place. Now let's read the article, and it'll really bring a lot of this stuff. It'll really paint the picture more vividly. All right, so again, from the Paradise ER editor, this is a very bizarre story indeed. Australia finally gets to use one of its quarantine camps, but under the most truly bogus of circumstances. Now, the opening sentence says Australia finally gets to use one of its quarantine camps. So they have these quarantine camps. It's not just in that location, Howard Springs. Also, it is not just Australia. America has them as well. Canada has them as well. They're going to be used, whether it's for this or whether it's for, you know, Revelations 13 verses 16 and 17, or whether it's for, you know, when martial law is enacted. If it's a quarantine camp, internment camp, concentration camp, prison, it's all the same thing. These things are going to be used. They're using it now. And it's just no coincidence that they chose to use it first on the indigenous Aborigines, whom they already raped and stole that land from. You know, the Aborigines, they're from the they're Japhetic people. You know, they're not Israelites, but all nations, you know, suffer the oppression and wrath of Esau Edom, the so-called white man that's running the world with his policy, his agendas, you know, his mandates, you know, his economic, political, military power grip that they got on the world. This is who's running the world. This is who's destroying the world. This is who's oppressing the people, even their own people. But it's them. So continuing on, what's odd about this story is that the Northern Territories government, led by extremist Peter Gunner, that was the man in the video, is alarmed about so-called COVID cases in the tiny Aboriginal community of Benjari, several kilometers from a small place called Katherine, in literally the middle of nowhere. See map below. This is extremely low-hanging fruit to demonstrate a point. Does Benjari have a lot of desperately sick people? No. It merely had traces of the virus detected in rainwater, according to ABC News. NT COVID cluster causing concern among Benjari residents after positive wastewater resort. So that was the headline. But they're saying, so what's going on? You have the small community of Benjori, which is right here. I'm going to pull up another map of it as well. You got the small community of Benjori, and it says it's several kilometers away from a place called Katherine. Now, I looked it up. It's about 15 minutes from Katherine. Katherine is, like one of the major cities, but not a major city like what we have in America. Not even there. Not like Doran or Queensland. It's not something like Atlanta or Houston. It's big according to them, and I think the population might be 17,000 people. But either way, they're sounding alarm about the traces of COVID-19 and the wastewater, the rainwater of the community of Benjori. And Benjori is, like I said, 15 minutes away from Katherine. So they're making this big uproar. But both of those places are in the middle of nowhere. That's why they highlighted this map. And listen to the caption below. It says, to amplify the point, this is the geography of the area. Doran is northwest on the coast. So that place, Howard Springs, the concentration camp, is by Doran, 200 miles away. So this is the geography of Benjori. It's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's 15 minutes from the city of Kathleen, but they're both in the middle of nowhere. That's the point. Now let's continue reading. And this just shows you the Northern Territory. That place with the red marker, that's Kathleen. And you can see Doran at the top. All right, so let's continue reading. We've reported on Northern Territory's Governor Peter Gunner before. See the madness down under ramps up. That was another article, I guess. Featured meme below, where Gunner was introducing at least one mandatory vaccine for all workers by the middle of October, or else face a $5,000 fine. A total zealot. He's the perfect choice for the state that imposes the most ridiculous restrictions on its citizens. And if you've been paying attention to the news, you know that Australia has really been doing some very, very ridiculous restrictions on their citizens. They locked down 900,000 people because I think 80,000 or 82,000 people tested positive. And then one person who was 80 or 90 years old died. So they locked down 900 people. Listen, 900,000 people, 82,000. I can't remember if they even tested positive. I did a video on it. I can't remember because it's been a while back. And, just so you know, I've done this that's back in October. I think that happened back in October. Today is Friday the 26th. I did this video Wednesday, but the devil was working against me. It didn't record for some reason. But anyway, just kind of giving you a time frame. And what these reportings are about what took place this past Saturday. So today is Friday. This past Saturday is when they start moving these people. But anyway, yeah, and if you've been paying attention, to what's going on in the news, and that's why they're rioting. Well, not necessarily rioting, but they're protesting in Australia and all over the world. This is a worldwide thing that's going on. But you got to pay attention because these things have a trickle down effect. I wouldn't even say a trickle down effect. It happened. It's like a testing ground. That's a better word or a better phrase. It's the testing grounds. They are enacting the harshest measures over there by totally locking down the people. They're starting to ship people off to the concentration camps or quarantine camps. And it's going to eventually happen to, bring it here. But they're doing it to these other places first. Now, let me continue reading. Let me start over again. We reported on Northern Territory's Governor Peter Gunner before. See the madness down under ramps up. Featured meme below, where Gunner was introducing at least one mandatory vaccine for all workers by the middle of October or face a $5,000 fine. A total zealot, he's the perfect choice for the state that imposes the most ridiculous restrictions on its citizens. Now we have suspected COVID in the water of a tiny community that is geographically self-isolating anyway, without the need for any camp. Much simpler than taking anybody to the Howard Springs quarantine camp, picture below, located near Doran, about 200 miles away. Now let's look at the map. Well, I just want to see what we got here. I had that up there for a reason. So this is a map. This is the key. You know, the dot with the circle is the state capital. The red dot is the major city, and the black dots are just major towns. So the state capital will be Doran. They got two major cities, Katherine and Alice Springs. And again, these aren't major cities like you think of in America. And then you see these other dots. These are other towns. And one thing to realize, the reason they pointed out the geography of the area, these aren't small towns with stores and communities and subdivisions that kind of merge into another town. No, they're very isolated from each other. So you have this small community in Benjari that they're transporting away, that's already self-isolating, like the article is saying, all the way 200 miles north. I have a population. So the population of Benjari, 190 people in that community. And this is a 2016 census. And the population of Katherine, it says 6,000, but I think this is an old one too. I think the latest one is here. I think the latest one. All right. The Katherine region, known as Big River County, is one of 5 major regions in the Northern Territory, Australia. It is situated just below the tropical top end. The Katherine region covers an area of 336,674 kilometers and has a population of 18,646, making it the third most populous region in the Northern Territory. And I can't remember when that census was taken. It might have been 2020. Or this says 2018. But yeah, so anyway, the population is about 18,000 people. I stay in a small city. My population here is about, just to put some perspective on it, the population of my city is about 17,000, 17,500. The next city closest to me is 15 minutes away. It has a population of about 76,000 people. The next biggest city, which is Macon, which is another 15 minutes away, it's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. They have a population of almost 230,000 people. So listen, if it's that dire there, for a population of 190 people, that's 15 minutes away from a city with 18,000 people. They're shipping them, transporting them away 200 miles away. That doesn't, and the place is already self-isolating. Because if it was really about what they're saying it's about, they could have just locked everybody down in that community. But they have these camps, and they're going to use these camps. And as the man mentioned in the video, they expect the numbers to rise. And it's all about contacts, not necessarily positive cases, but contacts, people who have come in contact. Those are some extreme measures. But you know what? This man has an agenda. He has a very short time, and they're going to make this happen one way or another. This is just to show you, you know, who the devil really is. And the crazy thing about it, it's a lot of logistics that goes into that. Let me I had logistics pulled up. So what is logistics? The detailed coordination of a complex operation involving many people, facilities, or supplies. And it's just funny that they use this sentence right below this definition as an example of how to use that. The logistics and cost of a vaccination campaign. And again, Salakia, this is not any type of medical information. I'm just reading. I ain't going over no medical information or medical misinformation. I'm just talking about situations that are taking place according to the articles. So there's a lot of logistics that goes into that. It's not just you need gas to come pick these people up and then drive 200 miles away. No, you got to use military vehicles because they're using army vehicles. There has to be a certain amount of funds allocated for the use of military vehicles when they're not used in the, you know, in military capacity. You know, when the state is using them or any type of, you know, other federal agency is using them. Also, you got to have military personnel along with, you know, gas, safety, and then to transport them to the site. You know, these things have to be documented in certain ways. So there's a whole section of people that got to deal with that. You got to have food, light. You got to have medical personnel on deck. And that's just at the location. That's just to move the people to the location. So, and then everything that's going on at the quarantine site, there's a separate department somewhere else that's not located there that has to take in their requests or document their findings or report, you know, accountability as far as, you know, the personnel. There's a whole operation going on for 38 people who may possibly have come in contact because there's CV in the rainwater. That don't make no damn sense. And oh boy, if you're not getting the picture of who the devil is, man, and what he's trying to do, he's trying to bring together he's trying to bring to fruition this new world order. And they're moving very fast, and it's almost like they're saying, fuck it, we finna start making these things happen. Which is basically what they're doing. Which goes right along with scripture because they don't have but a short time. And another thing to point out that I want to point out is you see these things, they're happening all over the world, but they're happening in these other countries first, and it's all by design. See, it couldn't happen in America first because there's a lot that goes into that. One, the whole world pays attention to what happens in America. They pay attention. When you if they would start doing these drastic measures in America first, there would have been some type of solidarity among the people worldwide, you know, in some sense, you know, where people would have resisted on a larger scale. But to do it in these other countries first, these other countries, they're focusing in. It's not a global thing. It is global in a sense that it is taking place globally, but they're more concerned about their own governments and their own communities. Yeah, they're seeing the other things that are going on to the world, but it's a different type of atmosphere. Had it happened in America first, there would have been a different type of solidarity among the people where everyone would have been pretty much protesting and resisting. Also, that would have greatly affected the global economy because you have to understand that America is the biggest consumer market, and it would have disrupted it so much that it wouldn't have been manageable by the global elite because it's the global elite that's making all these things take place. But when they when they do it in these other small countries first, you know, the economic, you know, what word am I looking for? Or, you know, whatever effects that happen to the global economy, they can kind of manage that, you know, by disrupting these other countries first before they before they bring it in a major way to America. Also, that solidarity. when they get all these other countries, or they disrupt these other countries, so it's already happening there, then it starts to happen in America. People are kind of focused on, they're seeing what's going on in the world, but that solidarity won't be the same. If you can understand what I'm saying, when it happens to America, it would have already been happening in these other countries. So that even though people are aware that it's happening here and it's happening there, it would be a different sense of solidarity had it happened here in America first. So if they can break up all these, or not break them up, but do it in these other countries first and then do America last, again, it becomes more manageable. Had they just started here in America first, it would have created, because again, America is going to be in an uproar when it comes here, but it won't be in the sense where the whole world is in support of America, or protesting where the whole world is protesting what's going on here. Right now, everybody's protesting what's going on in their own country, if that makes any sense. And that's just speaking to how, this is all by design. But again, it's coming to America eventually. And this is the reason I had this up here. Just looking at the largest consumer markets in the world. What is the largest consumer market in the world? The United States offers the largest consumer market on earth with a GDP of 20 trillion and 325 million people. Household spending is the highest in the world, accounting for more than a quarter of global household consumption. And then when you look down here, it says list of largest consumer markets. United States is number one, and this is it's FHCE, millions of USD nominal. So this United States is more than double than the next one. So it's 16,902,980. The next one is the European Union, no surprise, at 8,355,000, and then China is third at 5,352,545. So America is double than the second most, or the second largest consumer, and it's larger than the next two combined, European Union and China. So just to put these things in perspective, that's why you see it happening in these other countries. It's happening here because they're enacting these laws. They're signing different laws and legislation. They got concentration camps here. They're already dividing the people. You got the finessed against the unfinessed. You got the mask on versus the mask off future. And you got to say stuff like this because they looking for these key words, man. But, and again, you already got, Democrats versus Republican. You already got, whites versus blacks. And you got all these other subdivisions within the divisions. But the scripture tell you a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So all these things, they're doing it on purpose, but it's going to ultimately be to their downfall, whether they see it or not, whether they realize it or not. But anyway, man, those are just some things I wanted to point out. The map of the area, the population of the area, and the fact that it's happening in these other countries first. But let's go back to the article. Again, it's 200 miles away. It's a lot of logistics that goes into that. So continuing on, this Zero Hedge report notes that 9 people have been identified in Banjari, the community of Rockhold near Katherine, I'm just saying Katherine, it's Katherine, has been affected too. See the story about current temperatures there. Residents battling 40-degree heat in Katherine, Banjari, and Rockhold, COVID-19 lockdowns. And they're just making a point here. As a respiratory virus, wasn't COVID not supposed to survive beyond around 21 degrees Celsius? Hey. So they're continuing with the article. Breaking. Australian Army begins transferring contacts of COVID-19 positive cases to quarantine camps. Read that again. These are contacts. The people that are being transported are contacts of people who've had it. Australian Army begins transferring contacts of COVID-19 positive cases to quarantine camps. Patricia Harity for The Exposed. In an appalling breach of human rights, 38 indigenous Australians in the Northern Territory have been hauled into quarantine camps by the Army. The Australian Army has begun forcibly removing residents in the Northern Territories to the Howard Springs quarantine camp located in Darwin after 9 new COVID-19 cases were identified in the community of Binjari. The move comes after hard lockdowns were instituted in the communities by both Binjari and nearby Rockhold on Saturday night, this past Saturday. Northern Territory Chief Minister Michael Gunner announced today that the residents of Binjari and Rockhold no longer have the 5 reasons to leave their homes. The 5 allowable reasons to avoid lockdown that he referred to are buying food and supplies, exercising for up to 2 hours, caregiving, work or education. So that's what he was mentioning in the video. He said the residents of Binjari no longer have the right of the 5 reasons to leave their home. Who has that type of power to tell a community they can't leave their home? And these are the 5 allowable reasons that they were allowing people to leave their home under a lockdown. Now they're saying they don't have those 5 allowable reasons no more. So let's read them again. The 5 allowable reasons to avoid lockdown that he referred to are buying food and supplies, exercising for up to 2 hours, care or caregiving, work or education. It is a case of if it can't be done from home and to get vaccinated at the nearest possible location. So it got to be done at home or you got to go somewhere to get vaccinated. So you can't, he said that they can't leave their homes for that reason. Along with the fact that they're starting to transfer these people out. Going on with the article, they can only leave for medical treatment in an emergency or as required by law. So you know what that is. What's the medical treatment? To get the juice. Or an emergency, I guess if somebody was to get shot or something, or I don't think they have guns in that community, or somebody had a heart attack, or whatever the case may be, or it's required by law, which they are the law. And their law is saying, we're going to transfer you to this community 200 miles away. Says Gunner, he continues that it's highly likely that more residents will be transferred to Howard Springs today, either as positive cases or close contacts. And you got to keep in mind, man, you got to have some type of understanding of what's going on. Those people don't really know the bigger picture. They come in that community and tell them any damn thing. They're just going along with it. You know, it'd be different if they try to do that in a community here because people would buck. A lot of people wouldn't buy the bullshit. You know, these people are just trying to go along to get along. They don't understand, you know. And I'm not there in that community. So, you know, I can't say 100% you don't have one person being like, hold on, this bullshit. And if you do, guess what? You ain't going to never hear about it. You're gonna only want to hear about the people who agree with what they're doing based on what they're being told. That's what you're going to hear about. You ain't going to hear about nobody uproaring there. So let's go on with the paragraph. We are already identified 38 close contacts from Binjari, but that number will go up. Those 38 are being transferred now. So that's what he said in the video. These are contacts, not people who got it. They transferred 38 contacts from their community 200 miles away into a quarantine camp. I'm being a little facetious. And more. They're going to transfer more. Gunner said that he had contacted the Prime Minister last night and that they are grateful for the support of about 20 ADF personnel as well as Army trucks to assist with the transfer of positive cases and close contacts and to support the communities. He also said we are doing an assessment today of what extra resources we might need from the feds, and the Prime Minister is ready to help further. And they throw little stuff in the yard. The prime minister, he gonna help us whatever resources we need. What resources? More additional people to help transfer these people. More testing, more help in the form of them being transferred out. That help is when they shall say peace and safety, then shall sudden destruction should come upon them. Boy. So just continuing on, the video below shows the Northern Territory Chief Minister Michael Gunner as he announces the news, and that's the video we just watched. Now let's read this quarantine facilities part. So quarantine facilities, there are 2 mandatory supervised quarantine facilities in Northern Territory. Center for National Resilience in Howard Springs, that's the one they got taken to, which is near Doran, and the Alice Springs Quarantine Facility. Alice Springs, as stated on the Northern Territory government website, a person in quarantine must, and that one in Alice Springs is the one down south, the other supposed, major city, according to their population. Now listen to this. As stated on the Northern Territory government website, a person in quarantine must stay in the person's allocated room, including on any veranda space allocated to the room, unless permitted by an authorized officer. Now they could have did that in their own community versus having some person they don't know telling them what they can and can't do. When not in their room or on their veranda, residents must take all reasonable measures to stay at least 1.5 meters away from any other person in the quarantine facility, except for the person's spouse, de facto partner, child, or parent, and wear a face mask when outside their room unless an authorized officer permits the person to remove the face mask, and comply with any directions given by an authorized officer to avoid people congregating in a quarantine zone. So they got to listen to whatever commands they're giving, and must not leave the quarantine zone in which the person's allocated room is located unless the person is escorted by an authorized officer, except in an emergency. Chief Health Officer Direction 52 of 2021 sets out what a person must do when in quarantine at the Center for National Resilience and at Alice Springs Quarantine Facility. This direction is law. It's law. These are the laws that they make. Every person in quarantine must do what the direction says. If a person does not follow the direction, the Northern Territory Police may issue an infringement notice with a financial penalty. The Northern Territory, as of today, November 22nd, 2021, has a total of 38 cases of what they deem to be COVID-19, which makes it even more blatantly obvious that the excessive new measure has nothing to do with a virus. And that's really it on that article. There's another article I wanted to read. We'll get that. We'll read this article and then we'll get some scriptures, and that'll really be it. All right, so this is I can't think of this. The site is abcnews.net.au, so ABC News Australia. Now they're going to have a different spin on it. So now when you get to the main media, they always have a different type of spin, and you will be able to pick up on it. So this is the name, this is the title. Residents are battling 40-degree heat in Katherine, Binjari, and Rockhold, COVID-19 lockdowns. So this was posted on November 22nd, Monday. All right, Lisa Mumbin knows how important it is for people to isolate at home during the Northern Territory's COVID-19 outbreak. And this is her. And I think she's one of the elders of one of these communities. And of course, she knows how important it is because they told her that. And she sincerely probably believes that, what they're saying is what's going on is what's happening, and we know it's probably best for us just to follow them. However, the Juwan elder is acutely aware of how challenging Salakia. However, the Juwan elder is acutely aware of how challenging that can be. Aboriginal people in community, we've always lived our lives together and share things, she said. And it's just a small community of people, man. And here Esau come disrupting their community with this bullshit, with this propaganda. This man he don't give a damn. He's coming for everybody. Habakkuk chapter 2 tell you, he heapeth all people unto himself. He heapeth all people unto himself. I'm going to make sure we get that after I read this article. Miss Mumman lives in the Kalano community on the north side of Katherine, which has been in lockdown since the emergence of a COVID-19 cluster more than a week ago. This is her speaking. My home is always welcome to my family, she said. But being home now, sometimes there's family coming in, which I try very hard to stop them because she's telling them don't come because we got this thing going on. It's very hard, but it's COVID now. So this is the new normal, y'all. This is their new normal. They had a normal life until Esau started his bullshit all around the world. It's very hard, but it's COVID now. There needs to be education to distance ourselves because of the virus. The restrictions in Katherine and Kalano are tough, but residents are still allowed to leave their homes for exercise, food, caregiving, or essential work. So this is a different community on the north side of Katherine. Benjari is on the south side of Katherine. It's a different story 15 kilometers to the southwest, where the communities of Benjari and Rocco are facing some of the harshest lockdown rules seen in Australia. And we don't really know the full agenda or the full reasoning behind what's going on. You can see the blatant, devil being the devil, and that's what this article is about. But you can best believe there's something else that's not being talked about that's going on down there. You best believe that, because this man don't do these type of things for no reason. Let's just go on with the article. Except for an emergency or medical care, about 350 residents have been ordered not to leave their homes until at least December 4th. And I think that 350 is the combination of Benjari and Rocco. And so they can't leave their homes until December 4th. The hard lockdown directive was issued on Saturday after 9 people in Benjari tested positive to COVID-19, according to them. There are fears more cases will emerge in both communities. So why do they have to be transferred 200 miles away? Even if they do have it, so what? Why they got to be transferred to quarantine camps 200 miles away from their communities, away from their small, self-isolated community in the middle of nowhere? They are in hard lockdown to protect them. Acting Chief Health Officer Dr. Charles Payne said they are in hard lockdown to protect them. According to Esau, the temperature has been reaching 40 degrees. Police Commissioner Jamie Chalker yesterday said 6 people from Benjari had been fined more than $5,000 each after sneaking out during the night. Those are some very hard laws, man, to fine people $5,000. You see the community. That's why they highlighted that the terrain, the geography, the location of that place, just to show you these extreme measures. But this is the devil, and this has to be out. It has to be, put out. If you need food, if you need anything, please make contact with the police officers and the other government staff that are on the ground. We will try and facilitate whatever you need, he said. And this is a precursor to what the ultimate goal is worldwide. If you need anything, the government will provide it for you. This is a precursor, it's a prelude to what's coming. This is what the whole agenda is about. This is what the whole new world order is about. This is the whole thing about Revelations chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, 15, 16, and 17. This is what the mark is all about. Controlling, keeping contact, keeping trace of people, and controlling what they do, what they need, what they get, how much they get, who else they share it with. If you need food, they even coming up with the universal basic income. This sentence alone right here highlights the whole agenda. But it starts in these, it's a gradual thing. But in these last times, these prophecies are jumping out of the book because we're in the end. Again, this man has a short time. The Most High is shortening the time for the elect's sake. So this man is moving fast. But you can see these little things taking place here, there, here, there. If you need food, if you need anything, please make contact with the police officers and the other government staff that are on the ground. We will try and facilitate whatever you need, he said. Please do not leave. You must stay within the Bajari community for the time being until we give you further notice. Peggy Slater, who lives in Bajari, said she was frustrated that some people were failing to abide by the rules. And you have that here. They tell you, they push this fear out, and then you got people that look at you crazy when you go to a store and you don't have a mask on. You got people that look at you crazy. If you can't even cough in public no damn more. You know, I was at the store the other day and I had a cough. I just had the regular cough. You know, I had swallowed wrong or awkwardly, and I had to cough. And I was self-conscious about coughing because I already know how people look. And I and then you got people looking at me like, what has this world been driven to? What in the hell has this world been driven to, man? I mean, we know. It just, I don't know. You just shake your head at it sometimes. All the time, really. It's vexing. It's a vexation. But, you know, these things must need be. The scriptures told us it was going to be like this. You know, so, you know, it is what it is. Peggy Slater, who lives in Bajari, said she was frustrated that some people were failing to abide by the rules. They just seem to not listen, Miss Slater said. And they've been taken off to town through the bush tracks. She said she was coping with the restrictions reasonably well herself. But, she said, the lockdown was especially difficult for other families, some of whom are sharing 2-bedroom homes with up to 20 people. So they're making it hell on them. I just think about all the other people in the community, especially with the influx of kids and people that have come from other places that got stuck here, Ms. Slater said. She was also concerned for her unvaccinated mother who has cancer and lives in a nearby house. Ms. Slater said her sister-in-law, who resides in another property in Bajari, ran out of power earlier in the day and was left without air conditioning. Everybody's probably having a bit of tension in the houses, you know. At yesterday's press conference, Commissioner Chalker said 2 homes were without power for some time on the weekend, but before an emergency connection was restored. The charity Save the Children said it was trying to ease the pressure by helping coordinate the delivery of support packages to affected families, including food and electrical tokens. They will, of course, have all the other essential stuff that you need when you can't get to the shops, like shampoo, conditioner, stuff for washing your clothes, and all the things that women need at certain times. Its NT director, Nolene Swanson, told ABC Radio Darwin. She said they were hoping to get some activity packs delivered to children in Bajari and Rocco over the next few days. With the crisis set to drag on for days, if not weeks, Ms. Mumman encouraged Aboriginal residents to get vaccinated. There you go. There is no better way to protect ourselves if we want to live longer, the former chair of the Wurlunjang Health Service said. You know, as Aboriginal people, we don't live very long. With COVID, it's even worse. And that was that article, and we're going to get into some scriptures. But you see what's going on, man. Esau come in like he did. Went around the world pushing his bullshit, pushing his doctrine. Went around the world colonizing, went around the world with his false Christianity and his missionary missions to help people. He doesn't help people. He destroys. He destroys communities. He destroys people. He destroys the land. He destroys hope. He destroys morals. He destroys way of life. That's what he does. But let's get some scriptures. Let's get Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. And I got to get Habakkuk. This is chapter 10. So this is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And when you prescribe, you write it before time. You write laws. It's a law. A decree is a law. It's a mandate. You got to get that. You got to get maxed. You got to get maxed, or you get a $5,000 fine. You can't leave your home for food. Listen, you cannot leave your home for food, caregiving, education, or whatever. If you need something, you got to contact the police or any other government official, and they'll get it for you. Also, you need to leave your community and go 200 miles somewhere else, and still be following even harsher rules. Where people you don't know telling you can't do this, you can't do that. Verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Now this talking about, the Most High's people, and this article is focusing on the Aborigines, which come from the tribe of Japhet. Well, not the tribe, but the lineage of Japhet. After the flood, you had Abraham, you had Ham, which are the so-called Africans. You had Japhet, which are the islanders, the Polynesians, and then you had Shem. And from Shem you get the Arabs, you get the Hebrews, us, and you also get Esau, Edom. It might be hard for some people to grasp that concept, but that's what it is. We're Shemitic. Esau is Shemitic. The Arabs are Shemitic. But we come through the lineage of the actual promise. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. And then from him, he had the 12 tribes. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Esau and Jacob. The promise didn't go to Esau. It went through Jacob. But again, back at verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people. Now, this says take away the right from the Most High's people, but Esau, he is an oppressor to all people. Just because we're Israelite, it doesn't mean nobody else is going to go through this shit. This man is a tyrant. He's a mad scientist. He's a tyrant, full of wickedness. And all these people are going through it. And again, this is just a prelude to what's to come to America, and what's ultimately to come to you Jakes. And when I say Jakes, I'm talking to you 12 tribes, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Also the ones that are scattered throughout the other nations. And to take away the right from the poor of my people. You're taking away their right to go outside, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's why they got the woman up there. I don't know if she got a husband or a man. I'm not in that community, but it's no coincidence that they always play up on the fears of the woman, and they have the woman, perpetuating, their agenda. Well, yeah, we need to, and she's a sincere woman. She just say, hey, we just a small community of people. My family come in, people come in, we share things, and here Esau come now. Y'all can't do that no more. We taking y'all away, and they're gonna take more away. I wanted to get Makai. We'll get Makai, and then we'll go to Habakkuk 2, because I don't want to lose thought on that. So this is Makai chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. Now you know they up to something. You know they're doing something. You know ultimately they just want to put these people in these quarantine camps because they want to use them. They want to start using them. They're gonna start with them first, then they'll start using other people. That's why they're trying to make it seem like it's such a big deal. Like we really had to do this. That's why they got that little stupid ass clip of them workers at the end of the video, like they really doing something. So we can get into the minds of the people. Like, hey man, this is a real thing. We gotta nip it in the bud, so to speak. It's one of my old teachers used to always say, nip it in the bud. And they got the power to do that. Who else got the power to come in your home or come in your community and tell you got to go somewhere else 200 miles away? And it's going to happen here. And you know, if the police come in and say you got to go, I mean, you going. And if you try to fight, you're going to get slaughtered or get beat up and still go. But you going. But who has that power? Who's making these laws that, well, the law says you have to do this, so you got to do it. Who makes these laws that oppress the people? Esau, Edom. The word is given to the to the hand of the wicked. Let's read this again. Let's go to Job. Then I'm gonna go get Malachi. Woe to them that devise. This is Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it. They always doing some type of iniquity. They always got some plan going. And they always present it as for the good of the people, but it always oppresses the people more. Because it is in the power of their hand. Why is it in the power of their hand? This is Job chapter 9 verse 24. Job chapter 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. The scriptures already tell you who the wicked is. In Malachi 1, Esau, Edom is the border of wickedness. The curse of the people cursed. Let's just get that. Let's get that after this. Then we're gonna go to Habakkuk. So I keep saying Habakkuk, and I don't want to miss that. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. The Bible clearly describes who the wicked are. There are wicked people. You got wicked Israelites, but there's only one people considered the wicked because they are the physical counterpart of Satan on the earth. And he covered the faces of the judges. The judges are the true Israelites of the Bible, because those are the men who a true judge judges according to the scriptures. That's why the Most High says that when the kingdom of heaven is brought on earth, we're going to be a kingdom of priests and kings. We're going to be judges. We're going to be judging the other nations, but we're going to be judging righteously because the laws, statutes, and commandments are going to be placed in our inward parts. That's what you judge. You judge by laws, but you got to have righteous laws. They covered the judges during the Renaissance. They literally did that with the Renaissance art, iconoclasm. They literally covered the faces of the judges and put themselves up to be the people. These Edomite people, these white people, Caesar Borgia as the savior, so-called what the world calls Jesus Christ. And if not, where and who is it? If they didn't do it, who did it? That's very plain and simple. If they didn't do it, who did it? Let's get Malachi, and then we're gonna get Habakkuk. And it's like we say the same stuff over and over again. I start at 1. The burden. This is Malachi chapter 1 verse 1. The burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob. So the Most High saying, look, I love you, Israel. And Israel might ask that because you look at the so-called white man and you see he got everything right now. But this is for a short time. The scriptures tell you the wicked triumph. The triumphing of the wicked is but for a short time. We ultimately going to get the kingdom of heaven. And we didn't do anything to deserve it. That's love. Even the ones that don't make it on this side, you still get the kingdom, man. And that's eternity. as rulers, kings, priests, queens. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste, because that's what his ultimate heritage is going to be, waste. For the dragons of the wilderness, verse 4, whereas Edom said, because that did happen at a point in time, their mountains were laid waste. And it's going to be their ultimate heritage, because there is going to be ultimately made waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And Yahweh is about to send Yahushua back and the angels, and they're going to throw down, figuratively and literally. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. That's the whole. That's who the wicked is. Now let's get Habakkuk. I'm always in Habakkuk. Let's go to verse 5. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, and that wine is all the doctrine, that they push out. All their lies, all their agendas, all their propagandas. That's that wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. See? And it says, verse 6, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? And a parable is, it's talking about this man. It's talking about him. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that laddered himself with thick clay. And that thick clay is talking about debt, weight of pledges. And you already know the U.S. has the highest debt of any nation. All right. But just to show you, this man is heaping all people to himself. The world is given into his hand. He is the wicked. He's the border of wickedness. And he practices iniquity in his bed, because it is in his power to do so. So who got the power. So we need Yahweh to come back and to take power from this man, take away his authority. And he's going to do that. Let's go to Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians verse 15. Salakia. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 24. Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. So who was Yahweh going? This is talking about Yahweh coming back and delivering up the kingdom. Who is he going to put down? Well, who's up? Esau, Edom. Who is he going to take power and authority from? Esau, Edom. They have this power. They're oppressing the people. He's going to break their rod and their staff. He's going to break their scepter. Verse 25, for he must reign, Yahweh must reign, till he have put all enemies under his feet. All right. So this man is the one with all the power. You see what he's doing. He's getting ready to move fast. Well, he is moving fast. He's bringing these things to all the nations, not just, it ain't just going to happen to Israel. It's going to ultimately be Israel who's going to be the main focus, because that's really who they want to take out. They want to take out, Israel. Let's go to 2nd Esdras 16 and 68. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 16. Let me go to verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And that's going right back to Revelation chapter 2 verse 10. When you're idle, you're stationary. You can't go anywhere. You can be idle in a concentration camp. internment camp, quarantine camp, jail, prison, any type of holding facility. That's what that's talking about. And you see it happening here. You see it happening in Australia. That's why you got to see these things. You got to understand what's going on. They're getting ready for you, Jake. It's going to happen to all people, but they're really getting ready for you. And what burning wrath? The burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. That great multitude is Esau, Edom. Because you are who they are really coming after. This is why they're coming up with all the mandates and pushing this agenda so hard. And they have a burning wrath because they have a short time to accomplish it. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. This is talking about, the Israelites that are in the spirit world right now. And it's also talking about, the Israelites right now, the elect, because we dwell in heaven with our conversation. Scriptures tell you our conversation is in heaven. We're dwelling on the word. Our hope is in Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Our hope and our faith. We're hastening for the return of Yahweh Shai to come back and take this man down. So we dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. This is the worldly people and the inhabitants of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He got a very short time. The Most High is speeding up the times because it's for the elect's sake. Because if he don't speed up the time, if this man is allowed to go on as he's going on, he'll destroy everything. We always say that. He'll destroy everything. He got a short time. See, the elite know, the wicked elite, the ruling banking families, you got to understand they have a priesthood. They got astrologers, they got prognosticators, they got sorcerers, they got witches, they got all that shit. They know that Yahweh Shai and the angels are close to making their grand appearance. They know that. For one, they know the prophecies. And again, like I said, they have their priests, their prognosticators, and they are diligently searching the heavens for signs. That's one reason, they can come out with an article or, a news report and telling you that, hey, we're getting ready to have an eclipse, or it's going to be a blood moon on this day, or we haven't had this, it's a partial eclipse, which we just had. We haven't had an eclipse like this in over 600 years, since 1440. We don't know that shit. We don't know what day that is. We don't know how to track that. They do. They put it out there. Hey, this is a phenomenon. It's just something weird. You want to watch. If you want to see this, this is going to take place on this day. They already have it mapped out and planned. They can tell you when the next one going to happen, because they are diligently searching the heavens for these signs of the return. And we're diligently searching the scriptures and measuring the time based on what we see happening in the world. Another thing that they see, that the elite see, they see that the men of the Lord are waking up, which is a sign of the end, because the Most High is pouring out His Spirit on all flesh. You got Edomites that are having dreams about the end, going into slavery. And then you got the Spirit of the Lord being poured out on His men, prophesying, breaking off the word, prophesying the end of this kingdom, prophesying the healing of Israel, prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great, prophesying the captivity that the wicked elite going into, and also all the nations. They all going into captivity. We're prophesying what's happening. They're seeing this. There are some things that they can orchestrate. There are some things they can manufacture that we look to, because we see the signs. We're measuring the time diligently. We see all the famines. We see the wars. We see the supply shortages. We see the plagues, whether accidental or planned. A lot of these things they orchestrate because they know that they have a short time. They're trying to put a tighter squeeze on the people, and force them and to herd them into following along with their agenda. But it's like it works hand in hand, because the more the more they try to bring about their agenda by orchestrating certain things. These are the exact signs that the Most High told us to look out for. So we see this happen. Okay, we're right here. We're close. That and they're also revealing themselves more and more. Another sign of the times for us. They're revealing themselves more and more, and that's through the Spirit. The Spirit of the Most High is putting he's putting His Spirit on all flesh. So you got Edomites bringing out articles, you being whistleblowers. You got these people in Nigeria. You know, they could be Hamites. They could be their lineage could go back to Israel, because we're scattered throughout the whole earth. But all this information is coming out, and the scriptures also told you in the end, knowledge shall increase. So we know now, but we're filtering all through the scripture. So they know based on their signs, and we know based on our signs, which are all the same signs. You know. But point being, they see the men of the Lord waking up. They're searching the heavens. We see all the prophecies unfolding, the signs of the times, the wars, the famines, the shortages, and at the end of the day, it's all unfolding. Whether they're trying to work against it or whether they're trying to make something else happen, it's all happening just like the Most High said it would happen according to the scriptures. Because at the end of the day, He's working on the minds of men to bring out His prophecies. He's working on their minds through the evil angels on the left, and He's working on our minds through the righteous angels on the right. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about just paying attention. I just wanted to bring that point out, but let me end with Isaiah 47:12. This is Isaiah chapter 47. And we'll start at verse 12 and read down to 14. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. So you got to understand, Esau, Edom been a murderer and a liar from the beginning. And they've always dealt on the left-hand side. And even in these current times, that's why people, they can see it, but they're not putting it together because they're not in the scriptures. That's why people can point out what happened in the astral world and say, oh, that was a sacrifice. It was demonic. You can see this. But what you're not realizing is Babylon the Great. America is Babylon the Great. It's full of demonic witchcraft. Because America it's an amalgamation of all the wicked sorceries and witchcrafts and pagan ways from all the other ancient empires. Egypt, Babylon, Nineveh, the Greeks, the Romans, the Assyrians, all of them. And they held on to that. They have a priesthood. That's why the scripture is saying right now, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. And they're not going to prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. That's why they got all these think tanks. That's why they know how to put certain things in the media to play on the minds and the souls and spirits of people. That's why the people act a certain way. These court cases, they meant to do just that. These TV shows, they're meant to do just that. These things in the media, they're meant to do just that. They put deep thought. The scriptures tell you they complete a diligent search. They search these things out. They know how to do all of it. But like I said, the Most High has given us the Spirit in these last days to be able to see through it. Thou art worried in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee, because they're not going to be able to save them. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. So the ultimate, the end result, the end game is those nuclear bombs, destroying this place along with the lasers from the chariots. I was gonna end it out right there, but I think I'm gonna end it out on Revelations 18. Let me get Revelations 18. I'm gonna end it on verse 23. So this is Revelations chapter 18, verse 23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. This is talking about the end, the destruction of Babylon the Great. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. They deceive everybody, and they're deceiving the world right now except for the elect. That's why the church will say, if it were possible, they would be able to deceive the elect. But it's not possible. And it's not because of we so smart. It ain't that we figured it out. This is all the Most High's work. This is his doing. And you know why? Because he is going to be glorified. He going to make people glorify him. He going to make people bring his word out. He going to make his prophecies come to pass. He's going to be glorified, and we glorify him when we bring out his word. And it ain't of us. It's not of us. That's the beauty, and that's the power, and that's the fear of the Most High. All right, I'm going to leave it off on that. I'm going to say, all praise Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Hopefully, this lesson was edifying, and until next time, Shalom.